Good morning, welcome to Planet Mojo. Today we're going to get the carburetor back together again. This is kind of a long story, so I'm going to try to make it fairly quick. I already published these two videos, the one where I'm cleaning this, I get it all nice and clean, and then I used this kit right here to put it back together. And when I took out the choke plate was missing the spring here, so this little door stayed open all the time. Oh, I got that poppet valve. Yeah, it calls it something else in a different one, but this is the actual manual for this tractor, so I guess we'll call it the poppet valve. So a subscriber noticed that the spring was holding the choke plate closed. If you looked in there, it was completely closing the opening. And I didn't think anything of that because this is an updraft carburetor, and when I first looked at it, I thought the venturi was in there backwards. So I was not thinking straight, and I looked it up, and sure enough, it needed to be open. My kit did not come with this choke shaft, and when I was trying to take it out, I broke it. So I ordered a new one, and I got the wrong one. I don't know if I ordered the wrong one or if they just sent the wrong one, but whatever the case is, this is the wrong one. And I just sliced this open so I could check it real quick. And you can see that this has the slot facing this way, and this has it facing that way. So this is the correct one. Get that back in here. I haven't really looked at everything other than through the bag, but it has a ton of parts. Also, the other kit did not include this drain plug from the bottom, nor did it include this other little plug. And it really doesn't say on this diagram here what this plug is for, but I believe it's going to say on this. They have an instruction sheet on this. This did not have instructions either. So if I were to do this again, obviously I would get this kit. This is from Steiner Tractors right there. They are not sponsoring this. I paid for it. I got a whole new kit, and I'm just going to put the parts on from this kit. This has a ton of parts. It has all the springs. It has the fuel intake. This kit only had pretty much the stuff you see. Well, actually, these were the ones on the tractor. This was on the tractor. This was on the tractor. This, yeah, actually, most of this stuff was already on there. It only came with a few things. It came with this and this. So this kit came with just the basics. This was, I believe, $48. Or was it? It was about $50, and this was $63. And they always send you a couple of these cowtails with it as well, and I'll be eating those a little later. So I'm going to go through this kit and compare these parts to the parts from this other kit and get this thing put back together and get it on the tractor and get the tractor started. That's nice. Got all this stuff in its own bag. All right. Really good. Okay, I've gone through all of their instructions. Really nice instructions. And I have a Type B carburetor, so I'm going to want to go backwards to assemble it. And we got, well, in general, I want to go backwards. And they start with the plug bowl drain and the screw plug, which are both of these on the bottom. So I'm going to take this one out and then get the new ones and pop those in. Okay, I found my drain plug for the bottom, but I can't find the other tiny little plug. What do they call that? Screw plug. Won't be the end of the world if it's not here, but it would be unusual. I thought I saw it through the side of the bag, but it looks like these are both jets. They both have holes in them. And this little screw plug does not have a hole. It's just a screw. This plug is nowhere near as massive as the old one, and this one was 1/2 inch, and this one is 12 millimeters. So there's a few differences so far. Here's the main nozzle that came with the other kit, and this is the main nozzle that came with this kit. They are very different. I'm going to see how they both fit. This has a hole up here and then 2 down on that part. This has a hole like right in the threads, and then one up in here and one down there. The one from the other kit actually looks nicer. I don't know if that is going to make much of a difference or not. But this nut is different, and it appears as though, I mean, this is the new one. It's way thicker on this part. I don't know. This one seems a lot cheaper on the new kit. But I'm going to see how that fits on there, and then I'll decide which one to use. Well, that's kind of bizarre. Okay, and then another difference. You can see this tiny little gasket on the new one and this big one on this one. I don't know if one's better than the other or not. I just know that the new one has a hole drilled right into the threads there, and this one has it way down here. I guess I'm going to use the new one and see how it does. I hate to have to take this thing apart again. But that goes up into here, and this is the main nozzle. I may have to use that other one just to get at. This is really hard to get at because there's the wall of the carburetor is right there. See if we can get to it. All right, snugged in there. Okay, now we have the idle jet. This is the one from the other kit, and I just left this in so that I could match it up. And when I took this carb apart the first time, I matched it up then as well. So that it's not that one, it's that one. Okay. And that was on the upper half. There's so many different versions of these Marvel Schebler carburetors. This particular carburetor has A, B, and C. But there's hundreds of different Marvel Schebler carburetors. Okay, these brass, this cup right here, and this one right here, this bushing right here, those are just fine. I'm not going to mess around with those. I'm just going to put the rubber boot in there. It's called the throttle shaft seal. And then this will go through there at some point. Actually, I think you have to kind of get this on to the shaft and then tap it into there. Yeah, like that. Got the screws for the throttle plate facing me. And just got to wiggle this and get it into the right orientation, which is right about like that with the number facing upwards. That took a very long time to do. The first time I did this, it went right back together. But this time, not so much. This is the throttle stop screw and throttle stop spring, and those hit this pin down here. That differs from the original. This is the original. It has a wing nut on there and a longer screw. The difference is when this is mounted on the tractor, it's going to be like that, and this screw is going to be hard to access. So I don't know if it's a problem at a later date. I'll just put this original one back on it. I'll pull that one off of there and put it back on if it's a problem, but that seems to work pretty well. I forgot to mention that underneath each of these screws is a tiny little lock washer. Now we have the seat, the metering needle, and a gasket, and this one actually has the retaining spring. The last kit did not have that. Get this bag cut open. Okay. Yeah, those do not look the same, but hopefully they'll work the same. Let's see what they look like side by side. So I needed to use a butter knife on this, and I'm going to have to use it again. I have no tool that is wide enough for that, except for like a spatula or something. And now for the gasket. Seems to be a nice gasket. Here's the one that came with the other kit. They look to be pretty identical, except for this kind of blob up here. Let's see what this looks like. That looks pretty nice. Okay, hopefully you can see on this the little clip. It's not really a spring, it's just a retaining clip that goes around the neck of the needle, and then I guess I gotta do this first, but then it just hooks on right there. You can see the needle hanging, and then the needle goes into there. Then you can put your hinge pin through, and the hinge pin is trapped in place by by the carburetor body, so it's not going to fall out. I don't know why this is not. There we go. Okay, here's another thing that a subscriber mentioned, and it was the same subscriber. He asked if I was going to set the float. And I watched 2 videos on it, and both of them said that if the float is parallel to the body, then it should be correct. Now I've watched another video, and he said he puts a 1/4-inch drill bit down and runs it along and sets it until it just touches at the lowest part. Now I've read the shop manual, and they say, this is the Ferguson shop manual, they say that the setting is 9/30 seconds. So, oh, and the instructions with the carburetor kit I just got says a 1/4-inch. So you have a bunch of different versions here. I'm going to guess it's almost correct right where it's at, or correct, but I'm going to measure it. Okay, one got 2 drill bits. This is a 9/30 seconds, and this is 1/4-inch. All right. This side is. This side is correct, and this side needs to be adjusted a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell on the camera, but they are both right at a 1/4-inch now. So we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I probably should have put the Venturi in there first, but it pops right in. You put the big side facing up, which would be down in this case. Just drops right in there. There we go. And then to put the 2 halves together, just go like that. Do it while it's upside down, so you don't have the float bouncing all over the place, and then just spin it over. And each one of these little nuts has a lock washer. They don't come on it like that, so you got to find them and kind of get things pre-assembled like I did. And I'm just going to get all of these hand started. Then I'm going to tighten them down until they're just touching the lock washer. Then I will do a crisscross pattern, you know, like you do with a tire. Alright, then tighten it down. The reason I'm doing a crisscross pattern is that this is cast iron, and cast iron is pretty sensitive to stress, and it's easy to crack it, and I don't want to crack anything. Okay, the power adjusting needle. The one from the Sparex kit appears to be better, And first it has a gasket, then a metal washer, then a spring. And I don't believe I had the gasket on when I had it on before. And that's probably because the Sparex kit did not have any instructions. And it didn't show it in the diagram I was looking at. I was looking at an old diagram. I believe it was put out by Ferguson themselves. Okay, and then the instructions say to turn these out one turn. And the way it was set before, one was at 1 3/4 and one was at 2 1/4. All right, and then the idle adjusting needle, again, I used the one from the Sparex as well as the spring from the Sparex. The one that came, where is that? The one that came with this kit, the spring was not flattened on the ends. Here it is. It's just round, so it's going ting, ting, ting as you're turning it around. Pretty low quality. So, although the Steiner kit is more complete, way more complete, it is pretty low quality on some of the stuff. But I'm thinking they're all going to work just fine. Okay, so that's pretty much straight up and down, and half a turn, whole turn. And obviously that's just going to be a starting point. Okay, this, the other kit did not come with this. This is the little intake elbow with a screen on it. I'm not going to put that on right now because I'm going to be running a little test fuel tank on this, so I'm just going to put a hose barb on there. But I'm not going to do that right now. We'll do that a bit later. And it looks like I am up to the choke, which is really hard to photograph, but I can show you one thing. I made this tool the last time I did this. In order to get the choke has to go through this slot, this tiny little slot, and this door has to be open to do that. So I made this out of number 14 household electric wire. Once this is shoved through there, like something like that, then you push this through the opening and get it through the slot, which is going to be easier said than done up in the air like this, but it actually worked real easy on the carburetor itself. Hopefully this slot is not bent up or anything. So you get it like that and then pull the little hook out and then push it in the rest of the way. And then you get your screws on there, and those have little lock washers as well, but this kit is missing one of the lock washers. So I will take one from my previous kit and use that. So let's get this back apart. This is fairly fragile, so gotta really take it easy with it. You see how it goes right through this little arch there. So without that little hook thing, it's nearly impossible. Okay, now for the choke shaft. I got the spring on first, then this packing. Not 100% sure about that packing. What you got to do is hook this spring on the shaft here, then hook that little tab on, and then you can turn it the little 1/4 of a turn and push it in a little farther. and that's all the tension that you need. If you have too much tension, it's just going to pull your choke, will not stay out. It'll pull it right back in. Okay, so with the choke shaft at its resting position right there, it's hard to see in there, but the slot is facing you, and that would have your choke plate just like that. And then when you pull on this, it would turn, and the only way it's going to fit in is with this poppet valve at the top. I believe that's true. I'll play around with it a little more, but I believe the poppet valve does have to go at the top. So what we're going to do, yeah, if the poppet valve isn't at the top, then it'll be backwards. So just open this up and slide it in. Just kind of wiggle it a little bit. And then get this out. And then this takes a little bit of finagling because the diameter of the choke plate is obviously the same diameter as what it's going into, so it takes a little bit of finagling to get it in there. And you have to actually push the shaft in until it's all the way in. Okay, that went pretty quick. Once you got it in there, then you just have to adjust the shaft a little bit in and out. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this really well. Like that, until the screw holes line up. Then, with your magnetic driver, get your screws in there. So, let me get those in there. It's actually really easy. And then, I think we're about done. Alright, and there you have it. One Marvel Schebler Carburetor rebuilt. Hopefully this works really well. I'm going to be putting it on the tractor in just a few days. We had a blizzard today, so I'm going to have to wait a little while on that, but it'll be back up in the 60s next week. And like I said before, I'm going to run a hose barb on here and run that to a little temporary tank. But otherwise, this goes on there, and it goes at a nice angle, and the fuel line comes in this way. So that'll go on a bit later after I get it all tested and stuff with the hose barb. But other than that, she's complete and ready to go back onto the Ferguson TO20 tractor, and hopefully this starts right up. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe and click on the update icon. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comment section below. And if you share the video and or give it a like, it helps the channel out greatly. Thanks for watching and have a great day.